welcome to 3 and Out on TV Piedmont Channel 60. I'm your host, Brian Carter, alongside Ryan Orlowski. We've got a good one in store for you today. Get that popcorn ready because we're putting on a show.
On the opening tip, we talk about the TO issue. We'll get to your emails on the 7th inning stretch. And third down is our more or less segment, which we haven't done in quite a while. As always, if you have questions, comments, or topic requests, please email us at 3andoutsports@gmail.com. An email gets you a free 3 and Out pen.
As many now know, the great Terrell Owens has been booted from Dallas and wasted no time in signing with the Buffalo Bills. A head-scratcher? Yes. Nevertheless, we're here to debate on whether the Cowboys made the right move in letting him go. I'm going to go ahead and start this by saying, of course they made the wrong decision. Now they have put themselves in this financial bind. They took a $9.5 million salary cap hit, and they should have known the second that T.O. walks on that field or in that locker room that T.O. is going to be T.O., and they should have thought about that before last season signing him to a 4-year, $34 million deal, in which they also gave him a $12 million signing bonus. In doing so, you have to realize the obvious truth here. T.O. is going to be T.O. Yes, he does talk trash, but you know what? He does back it up as well. And his work ethic, the thing about Terrell Owens is, he's kind of like a prima donna, as you might say, but his work ethic, honestly, is unmatched by any other wide receiver in the NFL. And any guy coming off of a year where he has 69 catches for 1,052 yards and 10 touchdowns, calling that an off year or a down year, that's a career year for most wide receivers. So I think in the Cowboys letting him go and releasing him, they've put themselves in this financial bind and you're pretty much giving away. I'm always good with cutting cancer in the clubhouse, but when the good outweighs the bad, you got to kind of let the guy play. I mean, this guy's already a Hall of Famer. You got to keep him.
I got to disagree with you. The Dallas Cowboys made the right call in getting rid of Terrell Owens. Let him go to Buffalo. That's the smartest thing that Jerry Jones could have ever done for this organization. Even though T.O. has recorded 1,000 yards and reached double digits in touchdowns over the past 3 years he spent with Dallas, I believe that what he does off the field outweighs what he does on the field. He's just too much of the distraction, and he's a selfish player. You saw what he did with Romo and Witten last year, and that just takes away from the game. He needs to let those guys play their game rather than interfering with it.
Right, but the thing is, yeah, you mentioned that. He's got this personality where he's going to try to take away from the attention. Well, there's two pluses to that. One, you take the limelight off of a lot of other guys. Just by having this on-field personality where you're kind of soaking up the sun, taking all the attention, you're taking that limelight away from other players who necessarily don't want that limelight, a.k.a. Tony Romo. After the botched snap in the playoffs, who was the first one to back him? That was Terrell Owens, teary-eyed, maybe a little marketing scheme, I don't know. It seemed kind of fake to me, but he was there. He was like, that's my quarterback, man. And that's what, that's how he rolls. And T.O. is taking out that limelight, and that's taking the spotlight away from other players to where they don't have to struggle through all the stress of the game. It's opening the door for them to go under the scope and have a good year and not be scrutinized as heavily because T.O.'s taking most of that spotlight. And yeah, he's difficult, he's a diva, and he wants the ball all the time, but does that really make him any different than any other marquee wide receiver in the NFL? Absolutely not. The difference is T.O. puts up the numbers.
But T.O., he's too much of a distraction, and there's guys that make the players around them better. T.O. is not one of these guys. You say he takes the spotlight off other players, but in a way that's selfish, and he does that on the field as well. Because when he doesn't get the ball, he's complaining to everybody. He's complaining to the coaching staff. He's complaining to the quarterback.
He's a gamer.
But that's not what a team player does.
No, but he wants to win, and he knows what it takes to win. And you know what? I mean, you say he doesn't change the team. He makes a team better just by being on the team. Take a look at when he was with the Philadelphia Eagles. A T.O.-less Eagles didn't get anywhere. With T.O., they had that swagger to make it to the Super Bowl, and they played some amazing football.
The Dallas Cowboys have not gone anywhere since signing T.O.
But, you got to chalk that up to a botched snap. I'm sorry, that's just how it goes. And T.O. has had a heck of 8 out of the last 9 seasons, the guy's eclipsed 1,000 yards. And the only season in there where he did not was when he was with the Eagles and they suspended him for a few games, and he ended up missing 7 games of the season. And the guy's a Hall of Famer. He makes any team better no matter what.
I agree with you. He's a Hall of Famer. But, the Cowboys started off 8-4 this year, and then you had all this controversy with Jason Witten and Tony Romo and T.O., and then the team doesn't even make the playoffs.
But they're making T.O. the scapegoat because it's so obvious they need to take a look. Use that microscope. Check it out. The offensive line and Tony Romo, there's your main problems. Jessica Simpson up in the booth, that's a problem.
Carrie Underwood.
It doesn't. Oh, I'm sorry. That whole drama.
The love triangle.
That's even worse than T.O. But you take a look at other wide receivers who run their mouths a lot. Chad Johnson. Ocho Cinco. he had a truly down year. That's pathetic. You can't afford to talk smack when you have a year like that. But T.O., this is a down year for him where he has 1,000 yards, 10 touchdowns, 69 receptions. They need to scrutinize heavier on the offensive line where they have real issues and on Tony Romo, because it's fair to say, what would Tony Romo be without Terrell Owens? Because I would love to see what his career would have been like if T.O. was not there at the beginning.
But you can't pretend that his talk with the media has not affected the atmosphere in the locker room. It wears down the players mentally, and in a way, more energy is placed into these interviews with the media than it is on film sessions, and that's what's wrong about this whole thing. T.O. is selfish, and he takes away from what should be focused on in the game of football.
You're right, but how many times have you heard players that he goes on their team, they're like, oh, we accept T.O. for what he is because we like that little energy that he provides the team because, yeah, he runs his mouth, but it's entertaining.
He provides energy, but look what he's doing now. Days after he signs his $6 million contract with Buffalo, where's he at? I understand that it's voluntary. I understand that. But still, this is a guy coming into a new system. You would think he'd want to learn his coaching staff. You'd think he'd want to become acquainted with his players and his quarterback. But he's not there. Where's T.O.?
He might be on that stationary. He might be on the stationary bike, man, getting ready for all those workouts. He might be doing his own at-home workouts or something. You don't really know that. But, I mean, again, the guy – He's an amazing athlete. That's undeniable. And he still is at a point in his career where, yeah, he's a little bit past his prime, but he still is a marquee wide receiver. He's the #1 receiver in the NFL pretty much. I mean, there are a lot of guys out there getting some big plays, but I mean, you can't argue with the fact that he's putting up the numbers. You can say what you want about him being detrimental.
Well, you can say what you want about his work ethic, but he's still not going to voluntary workouts, so his work ethic clearly isn't there anymore.
We'll see. And let's real quick, the pros and the cons. He can still play. He takes pressures from his teammates. He makes the team better. His cons is that, yeah, his career is getting on up there and that he drops a few passes now and then.
I think the negatives outweigh the positives.
Well, he's T.O. He's going to be T.O., but he's going to put up the numbers. So anyways, it's now time for our game ball. My game ball for this first show is going to be my boy Albert Pujols. I just have to throw that out there because he was on the cover of the Sports Illustrated. And if you ever get a chance to read this article, it's amazing. Pujols has willingly accepted that now that A-Rod screwed up and is no longer the face of baseball, Pujols is willing to be that man to step forth and be that role model for all the little kids and everybody. And he said he willingly accepts it and he won't let anybody down. And for that, for putting all that weight on his shoulders, I got to give my game ball to my boy Albert Pujols.
To coincide with our T.O. segment right here, I got to give my game ball to Jerry Jones of the Dallas Cowboys for releasing Terrell Owens and letting him go to the Buffalo Bills.
That's bad. That's bad. Okay, we're out of time to argue more about T.O. Coming up on the other side of the break is the 7th inning stretch. Stay tuned.